Estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you like to listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with me at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And good morning to all our South Shore
Good
neighbors.
morning.
Oh, I have an echo.
To all my South Shore neighbors. Can you hear me there, Melissa?
I can hear. Oh, I thought I had an echo. I was like, what is happening?
No. Yes. Good morning to all my South Shore neighbors. You are, of course, listening to Sharon McNamara. I am not in studio, but I am.
You're not, because I have your headset on. I have your headset on, so I know you're not here. It says it.
I know I'm not there, but I wanted to be the first one to say congratulations to Melissa Wallace on her surprise engagement last Saturday. I was holding it back during the show last week. I knew the whole time.
Oh, there was no way I was doing that.
Tracy
show.
was avoiding me.
I was avoiding her like the plague. I'm like, absolutely not. I cannot be in the same room with her.
Yep. So I'm so happy for you guys. And again, I just wanted to break in. Tim let me do that, even though it isn't normally how I do our show. But congratulations. And I know you had a surprise vacation on Sunday as well. So I hope that went well.
Yes.
I haven't been able to connect with you yet.
What? Oh, you haven't seen her?
I haven't seen her.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh my goodness.
I'll give you the whole scoop on Monday. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I know that you played a very big role in our day, and we appreciate you and we love you so much. And I know that Ethan had called Sharon and Mark and asked for their blessing, and also permission to have a vacation, which was a total surprise for it. So I was like, what? I had like whiplash on Saturday with all the little surprises. So, but no, we appreciate you and we love you so much. And thank you for being a part of our day.
That it has anything to do with the ring, but hello.
Hold up the bling, sunshine.
Oh yeah,
I
know.
Gorgeous.
I was petrified all week that I was gonna like lose it. So any vacations we go out in the future, I'm getting like a fake one. I was so nervous.
Pressure off. Well, again, I just wanted to break in this morning. Thank you for letting me have the day off. As you know, I will be going to an early bridal shower for my niece, Molly McNamara. So Molly and Doug, they have their party today, their bridal shower today. And then guess what? They get married on August 29th, which is my anniversary with Mark. So
that's my sister's anniversary
for them, year 33 for us. That will be down in Newport. But fun fact about Molly and Doug, if I can share a little, they actually met May of 2022. And the reason I know this is because they met in Greece at Casey McNamara's wedding. Well, now Casey Hughes.
Yeah.
Doug is a good friend of Dustin and my daughter's husband. Yep.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
I mean,
it was like
the wedding? It was like a whirlwind love story. They met at a wedding in Greece. Like, how do you?
Oh my God! Wow. That's crazy.
He missed his flight. And had to pay $2,000. He called his mother and he's like, I didn't get through security on time because he had been working or something, and the person in front of him. So he was all, like, I didn't make it through security. What am I going to do? I missed my plane. And his mom said, a woman of wisdom who I will meet today, she said, well, it's one of your best friends. You go buy another ticket. And so that's what he did. So he almost didn't even make it to the wedding, but Casey
and he wouldn't have met his bride.
Yeah.
Oh my.
To his single. So yeah, she's like, I have to introduce you to my single cousin. And that's where their love story began. So congratulations to them as well.
Congratulations.
That's a great story. That is
I love
great
that story.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So what's your topic today, ladies?
Melissa, get married.
Yeah. We're talking about
Universal?
the importance. Universal. The importance of pulling permits. Of course, it's Tracy Grady. We got to be talking about permits.
Right. We got to talk about permits.
We gave our listeners a little bit of a sneak peek last Saturday, right, Sharon? So,
absolutely. And that I almost messed up last Saturday because I was like, oh, when I do the show next week with Tracy, you're like, I'm doing the show with Tracy. And I was like, oh, you think you're doing the show with Tracy? Because I thought that you weren't coming home until tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. No, we came home Thursday, but a lot later than expected because of what was going on at Logan. So
somebody drove a JetBlue plane off the runway.
Yeah. They landed off the runway. Yeah. So, and of course we were flying JetBlue, so they had to say something once we got on the flight, but they assured us that their number one priority was to get us there safely. So, we did. But
And on the runway.
And on the runway, it was a little nerve wracking, a little bit when we were landing, but we made it here, and yeah, we spent the entire day at we didn't know, and it didn't happen until after we got to the airport, so it was pushed quite a few. So we were like ready to go home, but yeah, no, here we are. But here I am with Tracy.
You guys, I'm watching you live on my big screen on YouTube right now. So to all our WATD listeners, you can watch Tracy and Melissa on YouTube Live, Instagram Live, all the places. So
all the lives.
I'm gonna hang up. Let you guys have your show. Again, I wanted to be the first one to give that big congratulations over the air. And so happy for you and Ethan.
Thank
he is
you.
a great, wonderful, wonderful man. So.
He is. Yeah. I'm very lucky.
Yeah. Well, he's lucky to have you.
Yeah,
right?
well, thank you.
Yeah, it's a mutual.
But hey, when people tell me Mark's a nice guy, I always say, well, I'd be a nice guy too if I were married to me.
Yeah, I know. I might have to steal that.
All right, guys, have a great show.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's that.
Feedback.
It wasn't feedback. It sounded like me, but it was Sharon. I was like, wait a minute.
Like, that's not you.
Well, there was one point where I was like, is Tim playing two shows at once? But no, I would never.
No, I would never do that.
I know you would never. I was like, what is
happening? What is going on? I can hear a voice in my head, and it's not you.
It's usually my voice over and over again in my head. But yeah. So that was Sharon McNamara, and well, thank you so much, and thank you for doing the show with me.
Guess what? Melissa got engaged.
I know. Yeah.
It was a day.
It was a day. I thought that. I did the show last Saturday. I got my nails done. We were, I was going to go home and pick Ethan up. We were going to go to the farmer's market, and we had a reservation at Burton's for lunch. I know they're going to be closed for a little bit for renovations. So we were like, oh, let's kick the summer off. Just no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. We never made it to Burton's. I had to cancel the reservation because he proposed instead.
I said, and that's what I kept saying was, what does she think she's doing tonight? Like she's not working. And they're like, oh no. She thinks she's working.
Oh,
she has no idea she's not
The
working.
only thing that I was kind of about was I had Sunday off from work. So I had said to him, I was like, well, why don't we go to lunch on Sunday? I have the day off. And he was like, no, let's just go after the farmer's market. So you have the whole day off on Sunday. You could do whatever you want, at the house and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't argue with him because he's the kindest person ever. Exactly. So it's like,
you can't say no to Ethan.
There's no, he would just be like, all right, fine. But he was just like, no, we're going to do
putting
Saturday.
My foot down on
and
this.
I was like, all right, whatever. And so that's that.
It was a day.
It was a day. Yeah. And then we had a get together, and you and Jim came on Saturday at Christina's restaurant, and Carrie did an amazing job setting the room up and a flower wall.
The neon engaged on
just a little get together for day of people that we see every day of our lives. So just to celebrate, and everybody knew.
And everybody knew, and she didn't.
And
did a good job.
So yeah,
everyone avoided you.
Yeah. Carrie last night was saying, every time I talked to Ethan, I would ask, oh, what do you want for this? Food and all stuff. And he just kept saying, whatever you think Melissa would want, whatever you think Melissa would love and stuff. So she was like, I've been thinking about him all week. I'm like, well, I've been with him all week. And it was great. It was a great vacation. And then thank you to Sharon for giving me the week off.
I know. Talk about
what?
I just thought your head must be spinning last Saturday when you finally figured out.
I was like, what? There's a picture of, after his friend Justin is a photographer, and he was there and taking pictures of, him proposing. And then we did a couple posed things afterwards, and we're posing for a photo, and that's when he's telling me oh, you're not working tonight. We have a get together. We're flying to Florida tomorrow. And I'm like, what? There's a photo. I'm
not this person.
I'm like, what?
I am not this person. I am a prepared. I need to know these things.
I'm like, wait a minute. I have to pack. So we immediately went to Target and got some stuff. So nothing like getting, engaged and going to Target, but no, it was a fantastic day, and thank you to everybody who was a part of it. We
It was
really
so much fun.
appreciate
It was a great day.
Yeah.
But it was great after we found out you knew.
Yeah.
When you got to the farmer's market with the bling, and
Well,
I'm like,
so many
oh,
people,
thank God.
so many people like texted me like later in the day, like if they hadn't heard from me yet, being like, "Hey, so how's your day?" Like I know you texted me, was like said something.
Hey, anything new?
Hey, anything new? Like, oh, so you knew too, everybody. So again, thank you to everybody,
Great day.
and
It
now
was
we
just
start our
wonderful.
journey of
And here we are.
saving for a wedding.
Now saving for a wedding. We went from house buying.
Yeah.
Now we're moving into the wedding phase.
Yes, but with house buying, there are some things that I'm gonna do around my house that might impact now my wedding saving for it is, and there's some things that I want to do for my house, and they might need a permit.
They might need a permit, which is
They
what we're
might.
talking about today.
Yeah. So. And Sharon says, and I remembered how to cut checks. Yeah, that was the other thing.
That was
so I do the finances
Everything.
here. So I cut the checks and pay the bills and stuff like that. And it's part of my job here.
our everything.
And I have a very specific way of how I leave things. I leave notes and I leave things for Sharon. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. I had no warning. So Sharon's, I think, said to Ethan or me, being like, she likes to leave things a certain way and you're not allowing her to. But Sharon did an excellent job. I went through briefly this morning some of the notes on my desk, and I'm going to look through them a little bit afterwards as well. But yeah, and she used to do it before me. So
she said, I used to do this.
It is like riding a bicycle, more like a horse though, because sometimes it's a wild ride. But yes, I'm very proud of you, Sharon.
Yeah, I was a recipient of one of those checks. She did an excellent job.
The number was right, and that's what mattered.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
Excuse me, I have a tickle. I didn't take my allergy meds yesterday, which really throws me off for the next day. But
I swear it's the rainy days are the worst ones for me. Like today, which you'd think because it's going to rain for the 14th Saturday in a row.
Obviously I was outside in Florida, so we go to Universal. We're not relaxing people. We don't like relaxing vacations. They're just not fun for us. Ethan would go on like a beach vacation, but I could go to the beach for one day and that's enough for me. But we love to go to the parks, and so we're outside in the sun all day and every day. And Sharon says more like a bull. Yeah, that's true.
Not a donkey.
Yeah. You can tell I love what I do because I haven't quit doing it. Like I just continue to do it. So, it is like riding a bull. A horse to me, a bull to Sharon.
Exactly. Yep.
It's always interesting. But yeah, so outside completely, like the weather is just so different. It was in the 90s every day. Beautiful. It rained for a little bit each day, but as soon as we landed in Boston, I started coughing and sneezing. It's like almost midnight, and I'm, we didn't really have much food at home, so we had to stop and get something to eat on the way home at midnight. So of course it was
Your
fast
options
food.
were limited.
Yeah. And we had to pull into a parking spot, and Ethan had to get his inhaler out of the trunk to give to me because I was coughing so much.
The pollen is
I'm like
thick. Yep.
Yeah.
I cleaned yesterday.
Something in the air that I don't like here.
No, it just, I can tell. And then this morning I woke up and my eyes are running, my nose is running. I'm like, mother, what is it? Like, it's almost like a rainy day. I would think these would be the better days, but not so much for me.
Well, it might rain later, so.
Oh, it's going to rain.
It's going to be a record,
Saturday.
right?
It's Saturday.
Yeah. Is this the 13th week?
13th or 14th week of
It's
rain.
supposed to be a record. Tim might know the exact. I think it might be the 13th.
Yeah, 13th Saturday in a row.
Because a couple weeks ago I thought I heard 13, but
yeah.
So
we might be up to 100.
It's 13 or 14. If Rob Gilman's listening, he may call in and give us the exact number.
Well, I've had open houses for the past 3 months.
Yeah.
It feels like, and it feels like it has rained for
I know. I feel so bad
Saturday.
for you guys, but people are still coming.
People are still coming. I mean,
Buyers are out there.
Buyers are definitely out there, but we have had some really horrible. We had beautiful backyard, built-in pool house, everything. Like, this is going to be great. It's going to sell the house. Well, on a miserable rainy day, it's
hard to imagine you out there with a margarita.
Yeah, exactly. I actually was going to sit out there with like my snorkel equipment on, with my flip.
That would have been really great marketing.
Just sit out back with my snorkel.
Yeah. Next time you think about that, I will film you in the rain, just swimming around.
Hey,
just
everybody.
Come on down.
Come on down.
And holding an umbrella while you're swimming.
Yes,
too.
exactly.
Yes.
Like, this is a great day.
But that one is closing
It is.
soon.
Yeah,
So
we found a wonderful buyer for that house. So I'm very
and a wonderful
happy.
neighbor.
Yeah, and a wonderful neighbor.
Yeah.
Us. It was a definite selling point. And we had a great, I have to say, I have a great closing this week. It was like one of the easiest transactions I've ever had, which, as we all know, we do not get easy transactions. We just usually have a myriad of problems or issues and hurdles. And as Jim and I always say, we work the problem. But this one, young couple, really was not even like they weren't 100% in yet. Like, are we going to buy? Are we not going to buy? Have a condo that they did not need to sell. So it made it a whole lot easier. We don't have something you have to sell. Fell in love with this house in Plymouth. Yeah. It is adorable. At the high point, you can almost see you can see the ocean from where they were. Yeah. Fell madly in love with it. I was in Nashville. Jim showed them the house. We negotiated the sale and they closed this past Wednesday. Oh. And it was a flawless transaction. Mortgage company, Ann Schwartz, fantastic. Yeah. The two buyers, Zach and Devin, getting married October 10th, 10-10. 10-10,
that's Mary's birthday. 10-10.
Yeah. 10-10, 25, Zach and Devin. Just the most adorable couple. They were so good. They got back. It was just great. So I'm so happy for them. And their dog Blue. They have a Newfie. 158-pound Newfie.
That's a big puppy.
That's a big puppy. The house, they knew there was their house. There was a run for the dog next to the house that was all gravel and fenced in. So Blue has his own place that he can hang. And awesome. I'm telling you, it was the most adorable house. Good for Blue. He was, I'm so happy for them. So good week for Zach and Devin. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, good for them and good for you guys.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. It was really good. Yeah. And again, I said, I should just travel more. I think I sell more houses when I'm on the road than I do when I'm
that's what happens. So, and if you're a realtor listening to this, you know that this is true. Go on vacation and you get really busy.
You get really busy.
Yeah. It's like in the restaurant business, like order food for yourself and you'll get a full bar. You'll get a full restaurant.
I always say that if I'm going to rip apart the bar, like it's really quiet tonight, I'm going to take all the covers off and polish all the bottles. The minute you start that project,
the minute it becomes inconvenient.
Exactly. The minute it becomes inconvenient.
That is when you're busy.
You get busy.
But no, it's fun. And then everyone says, oh, it's so fun to go on a vacation with a realtor because they're just on their phone working the whole time. Oh, gosh. But speaking of working all of the time, okay, so you've done the show with me a million times. I know we're like halfway done here, and I'm going to let you do your introduction, but everyone knows you.
Everybody knows me.
But we've done this show before, and you're the go-to person, the expert.
I love to do the show.
And I have a little agenda here for us, but why don't you reintroduce yourself to all of our listeners and tell them why you are the expert in this area?
Well, my name is Tracy Grady. I'm part of the Grady team. My husband, Jim, and I work together here at Boston Connect. Full-time realtors here. And the reason they picked me to do the permit show is because I worked for the Pembroke Building Department for about 14 years, which is how I became a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Sharon would come in and pull a jacket and we'd have a conversation. She's like, you really should be selling real estate. And I'm like, you're crazy. Nah, no. Finally, I listened to her, got my license, and she was right. Yes, I do. Yeah. Yep. So, and then Jim got his license and we started working together. But 14 years in the building department. I know my permitting pretty well.
Yeah.
And then I got retired there and got dragged back into the Hanover Town Hall where I'm now working for zoning and planning and doing their agendas and minutes and things. So I'm pretty well versed in the municipal world of what's required and what's not required and when you need to pull a permit and when you don't need to pull a permit and why you should pull a permit. And I'm not going to be here we don't pull a ton of permits.
Yeah.
The Grady team.
Yeah.
We have pulled permits over the years. We put in pool roofs, things to that nature. So you really should pull a permit. It just makes life easier down the line when you're going to sell your house, because people will go in. Not everybody comes in, but people will come in and pull what's called your jacket, which is going to be any information or any permits that have been pulled over the years. The interesting thing about Pembroke is they had a terrible fire in 1978 after the blizzard of 78.
Wow.
The whole town hall burnt down. So a lot of times you'd go into these jackets, these paper jackets, and they're singed edges on paper. And there was a lot of files that were lost. So
wow,
pretty much anything before 1978, I'm like, you're good. I can't prove it because there's nothing in your file prior to 1978.
Wow.
I mean, some of them did, but yeah, you'd go through the files and you'd have these burnt edges on paper. Like, yeah, it was bad.
That is interesting.
But the town does basically keep all of your permitting. Now everything is online. Most permitting is online.
Say, isn't everything online now?
Yes. And then it would be almost impossible to go back and scan in everybody's jacket so that you could put everything online. So there are still paper files. Pembroke's paper files are in the office. Hanover's paper files are in an adjacent building that you actually have to put a request in for your jacket.
Oh, really?
And then they'll go over and pull the jacket.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't been over there
a little
yet.
bit more of an extra work for you.
A little extra work for the building department, for sure. But yes, pulling permits, super easy. Contractor, you as a homeowner can pull your own permit to do construction work. Like if you're a handy person, like Jim's a handy guy, he can go in if he wanted to build his own deck. You can build your own deck. I mean, you still have to follow the building code.
Yeah.
But you as the homeowner can pull your own building permit, not an electrical permit, not a plumbing permit. You need a licensed plumber or electrician to do that work.
Yeah.
You cannot do that
and
work
who would
yourself.
want to? Who would want to do that work themselves?
Definitely do not want to take that risk. Electrical or plumbing, you don't want to leak or So yeah.
But let's back up a little bit. So define what a permit is for those who might not be a homeowner right now or haven't done renovations on their house. What is a permit? What are you asking for?
You're asking for permission from the town to make a modification on your home. So you need to go in. I mean, absolutely, the town does make money from you pulling a permit. There's fees associated with everything you do. It's usually priced per $1,000 that you're spending, or it's just a basic permit price of like $50. I haven't been there in a couple of years, so I'm assuming a basic permit fee is like something minor that you're going to do, replace windows or. So you do need to pull a permit to replace windows.
So if you're replacing windows, the person who's replacing them pulls the permit or the homeowner?
Either way.
Okay.
I highly recommend if you're having a professional do it, have the professional pull the permit because you want to make sure they're licensed.
Yeah. And the town will ask that?
They will. They're going to require a construction supervisor's license and a home improvement contractor's license.
Wow.
So construction supervisor's license, you have to go to a class. The person has to take the class. They have to keep up their credits and everything. So that's a construction supervisor's license. Home improvement contractor's license, they pay into a fund that if you have a contractor that doesn't do a good job, you have a resource to go to try to get some of your money back.
Oh, okay.
Never known anybody to get their money back.
Really?
No.
Oh.
And there's been a few that came across my desk that I thought, oh, this is going to be. They're definitely. And they came back in and said, nope, didn't get your money back on that. But there's a fund out there you can go to. And I'm sure there are plenty of people that have.
Yeah.
You
just don't know after 14 years.
Yeah. In my 14 years, I've never heard of anybody getting any money back.
But
and then, to be honest, I only had, I think, 2 people over 14 years that even attempted to do it.
Yeah. So everyone was generally happy.
Everybody is generally happy with their contractor. So you want to make sure you're using a licensed contractor. So yes, again, you as the homeowner can pull the permit. And let's say Uncle Eddie is a great, is a very handy person. You as the homeowner pull the contract. You have Uncle Eddie do the work. It's fine.
Maybe have Uncle Eddie come to your home inspection, but not do the home inspection, but be a second eyes, second ears.
Exactly. And still with you as pulling the permit as the homeowner and having somebody else do the work for you that you're comfortable with, the building department will still come out and inspect the work to make sure it was done properly. Like decks there's a whole prescriptive to how to build a deck. They used to be notched. Now they're not. And I'm talking like I have any idea what I'm talking about. But
you do. You have a lot more.
I got a lot of knowledge in my brain. Still can't read a ruler.
Well, you're not the one doing the work.
No,
so
absolutely not.
that's
But
fine.
so like decks need to be attached to the side of the house with clips, and you cannot notch the wood anymore. So it's important who's ever doing your work is knows what they're doing, because things and rules change, and building codes change over the years, and so you have to be up to date.
Well,
with
that
what's
was like
going
the first house that I had under agreement. I ended up walking away after the home inspection. Part of the reason why is he had built the deck himself. He was very proud of it, but he just put the wood in the ground. Like he didn't put any
there's no footings
or like he just put the wood
directly in the
and
ground.
it was rotting.
Well,
so
yeah,
like what happens when the ground gets wet? Well, then the wood gets wet and it travels it was just very bizarre.
Yeah, no,
whatever.
Well, but yep, people get very proud of their work. That's for sure.
I'm going to ask you a question that's going to give you a little bit of time to answer it, so I can go blow my nose. Can you discuss sort of the different types of permits that are required for maybe different projects? So you discussed like an electrical permit and stuff like that. So
let's say we're doing an addition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go through a couple different scenarios.
Yeah. So if you're doing an addition, actually, I'm helping somebody. I have a couple of contractors that I work with that I will pull their permits for them to help them along with the permitting process now that it's online. So when you pull a permit to do an addition, you're going to pull a building permit, and they're going to want the total cost on that. And then along with that, you're going to pull an electrical permit to do that part of the job. So a licensed electrician will pull that permit, and then a plumber will come in and also pull their permit. So the combination of in addition is you're going to have, and then you'll probably have mechanicals, because if there's AC or heating or anything, there's going to be a fee associated with that too.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
I'm back.
Yeah, she's back.
I'm back.
For a minute, I'm like, oh, now I'm talking to myself.
I know, it sort of throws you off. So like there's been times where like Sharon and I will be doing the show, and mostly when we were downstairs in our studio downstairs, she'd get up and do something with it, and I'd be all of a sudden I wouldn't know what I was doing.
You're like,
it's like you need the comfort of like a warm body next to you.
Weird.
Even though we've done the show a bajillion times at this point, it's like, oh wait, what? And now I'm just talking to myself like I do at home.
Yeah. And as my father would say, you could talk a dog off a meat wagon track. No problem.
Oh my gosh.
Talk a dog off a meat wagon.
Well, sometimes Ethan's like, are you talking to me? And I'm like, no. I'm talking to myself. And he's like, he thinks that I'm being like, oh, I'm talking to myself because you don't listen. And I'm like, oh no, I'm really talking to myself.
No. I wasn't talking to you at all.
I wasn't. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm not talking to you at all.
I don't have any issues at all. So when you do, so an addition is that's a big project.
Yeah.
So you're definitely going to want a licensed contractor to do, an addition, to come in, pull the permits. Electrical, plumbing. There's a lot that goes along with it. So
when you do something like an addition on your house, how many different moving parts are there with like people working on it? So do you have to have like a site manager? Do you have to have sort of like somebody has to design it and approve it?
Yep.
But
so you need an engineered stamped drawing to come into the town hall. ADUs are the big ones right now that we just came up with.
Yeah.
But with an addition, you need a stamped engineered plan, a septic plan showing if you're adding any bedrooms. Keep that in mind. So right now your house is, a 3-bedroom septic system, and you want to add a primary bedroom on with a bath. Your septic system, you have to prove that your septic system can handle that additional bedroom, or you need to get rid of a bedroom because you can't go above the bedroom count. So that's a big one. So we're going to require a stamped engineered drawing showing your plans and how it's going to be laid out, how it's going to sit on the property, where is it in regards to the septic system, how you meet your setbacks. There's zoning that goes along in that. So every town has setbacks, a front, side, and rear setback. Pembroke, just because I know them off the top of my head, 40 feet from the street, 20 feet from the side, 25 from the rear. So wherever the addition is going to sit, 10 off your septic tank, 20 off your leaching field. So wherever your addition is going to sit has to meet those setbacks.
Yeah.
If they meet them, you can just go ahead and pull your building permit. If you don't meet those setbacks, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't do it. You have to go to the zoning board and ask permission or relief from one of your setbacks. So let's say you're 15 off the side. you're asking for 5 feet. So what happens is you go in, you file to get a variance. And then in turn, letters go out to your neighbors. My neighbors are putting on an addition. Do you have anything to say about it? And when your hearing date comes, which is about 3 weeks later, so it definitely adds time on. So if you're thinking about doing an addition, the first thing you want to do is, do you meet the setback so you can just come in and pull a permit?
Yeah.
If not, you're adding at least, I want to say, a month to 6 weeks to get the permission from the town to go ahead and do it, to get the variance.
Now, how often does it happen where the town says no to like the engineering plans?
If it's stamped, it's usually, that's not a problem.
Okay.
But zoning, it depends on who shows up at your hearing. And even if people show up at your hearing, like you walk in and you're like, oh, great, my neighbor on the left and on the right are here.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you don't get it. They'd have to have a really good reason as to why.
What would be some of the reasons why?
Privacy. It's too close to their property line. Parking.
But too close to their property line, like, it's also the person who's going in front of the town, it's their property line too. If it's their property, can't you?
But
shouldn't you be able to?
Yes, and usually
like,
they allow
you want
you
a
to
shed or something, or a detached garage. Like, okay, yeah, it's close to your property line, but it's also close to mine.
Yep, it is, but it can't be. So
A certain
the idea
amount.
is there has to be a buffer in between. There's a buffer, which is what the 20 feet is from the side lot line. You really cannot go outside of that envelope without permission from the town. And you got to give your neighbors a chance to say, like, well, what exactly are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm putting up a shed. They're going to be like, fine, I just wanted to know what you were doing.
Yeah.
And that's usually what happens.
Yeah.
Unless there's World War III between you and your neighbors, which there were plenty of times I was sat at my desk and people would come in and like, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I'm like, well, then you need to stop talking right now, because the next words that come out of your mouth is probably going to get somebody
Anything
in trouble.
before but doesn't matter.
But my neighbor has this tree and the branches are hanging over on my property and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, and there we go. Now we're going to.
That's what makes me nervous about being a homeowner, is like, especially with my property where I don't know the exact like line.
Oh,
because I have 2.7 acres, but most of it goes behind my neighbors. So it's like, I get nervous sometimes when I'm walking back there, because I'm like, okay, is this my property? Is it their property? Like, but then I'm like, when it's super windy, what happens when a tree falls down and stuff like that, and then I have to prove if it's mine or not. That's what makes me nervous as a homeowner.
You should probably get a certified plot plan of your property. I mean, it's not. I mean, you should have one anyway, just so you do know where your boundaries are.
Yeah.
And you can go to an engineer and they'll come out, and you don't have to have all the bells and whistles and spend $5,000. You can just get a preliminary plan just so you know where your lot lines are based on, markers. And
eventually we are definitely going to do that, because our goal is, we have quite a bit of what I think some, area on the side of our house.
Oh,
like, if you're
do?
looking on like, not on the left side, because that's where like we have a shed, and the septic system is like kind of over there.
Is it out
the
front?
Leaching.
Is your septic out front?
No, it's in the back.
Oh,
yeah, and then the leaching is on the side of the house, but on the other side, there's a good area over there. So our goal one day is to clear that part and put up like a fenced in area to have a dog one day.
Yeah.
Because
Catch garage.
So it's funny, because when I was buying my house, it was Sharon and Mary's listing, and they had asked at one point, because there clearly is an addition on my house, off the right side. So I call it the lounge. And then below it is the basement as well, and then the deck is off of the lounge. And the seller had said, when we decided we wanted to do an addition, we were toying between, do we do a garage or do we do additional living space? And they decided to do additional living space because they had 3 kids.
Oh, yeah.
So it made sense for them.
Right.
And honestly, I think that if I didn't have that room, my house would feel smaller than it is.
Yes.
And we spend a lot of time in that room anyways. So I'm glad with that. I don't really need a garage. I mean, one day One day's the goal. But I have a fantastic man who clears my car off, so so I'm fine.
You're fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we could kind of expand that way too. But I think our goal one day is to have a dog, and we're not going to get a dog until we have a fenced in area.
It's so much
not fair to them. So, and just the way that my backyard is, I can't really because it's a little hilly.
It goes,
and it's deep,
like a ledge deep.
Yeah, it just wouldn't make any sense, like
into the wild woods out back. I mean, you have beautiful woods behind your house.
So one day we will get a survey done, so we don't creep too far over. But yeah, so the goal is to do a little fenced in area over there. But would I need a permit for that?
You only need a permit for a fence if you go over 6 feet. And actually, I think you can go over 6 feet, but under I think it has to be over 7 feet.
Oh, high.
So high.
Oh, yeah. So we wouldn't go that high.
No. So you'd be fine. No, normally you don't need a permit for a fence, and technically you can put it right on your property line. However, we do not recommend that we do that. Do it a foot to a foot and a half within your own property, so you can maintain both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
Oh,
good.
Yeah, so you don't want to be stepping on your neighbor's property to maintain, like to paint your fence or So that's another setback thing, is that the reason you want setbacks is you want to be able to be on your property and not be crossing over onto your neighbor's property.
Well, a lot of the times when I was looking at houses, and I know this question comes up all the time when people are looking, is who owns that fence? So you look at the backyard and you can see that there's 3 different types or 3 different colors of fence. Like that one is definitely older than that one, and that one is vinyl, and that one is wood. It's like
this
you
one
have to
put
ask,
one up, you added on, the neighbor over here put on
you have to ask. And I think there was one house where it's like the house that I was looking at didn't own any of the fences. It was all the neighbors. And so you're just like, okay, so in my head I was like, so what happens when it falls into my property, and do they come over and they fix it in my house? Like,
yep.
Like, so yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, I would do a 1 foot 2 feet buffer. One's
fine.
Okay.
1 foot buffer.
1
Just
foot
enough
buffer.
so that you can stand, and if you had to repair it, you could do it on your own property.
Or somebody else can repair it.
We know that.
Somebody else can repair it. Ethan and his dad can repair it.
There you go. And they're lovely people, by the way. Ethan's parents, I got to meet them at the party.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I friended her on Facebook.
Oh,
she came up as my friend.
I told her too. I think a lot of people from the day had requested her, but they are just fantastic people. And he's an only child, so it can go both ways. So like you can have only child syndrome, or you could be like Ethan and just be like the most wonderful person ever. Exactly. And I always say, like, they did a wonderful job raising him.
He's great, and they're thrilled to have you too.
Yes.
They were just over the moon.
Yeah, they're great. They're really great people.
Sorry, just had to say that. Popped into my head.
Peter Brown is on Facebook, and he said, "Is there any updates on the Pembroke Country Club? Do you know anything?"
No, I actually don't know that. I know that it is still moving forward, and I think they've been through planning. I think they have all their planning. I just don't think they've submitted a permit yet.
I feel like we've been talking about this for 100 years.
I was still working at
even
the
next door, whatever it is that they're doing next door. Like, there's just
it doesn't seem
tumbleweeds over there.
I'm thinking they're probably finishing up. They have a couple of projects going, but it's a big company, so it's not like they don't have multiple projects going all the time. They were doing a project on Plymouth because I had shown it. And I said, "Oh, Weathervane." I didn't realize it was going to be the same people that were doing, that are going to do the country club. But unfortunately, I don't have any update on that. But again, the last time I had heard, they had been through planning. I think they have all their permissions from the town. I could be wrong about that, but I don't believe any permits have been pulled. So very interesting.
Well, we'll see. We'll keep
an eye
on that.
It's quite the project. Yeah. It's going to be a lot.
And I know that there are opinions about it, either one way or the other, but it seems to be moving forward.
55 and older, affordable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Sorry, Peter. That's all I got.
Sorry, Peter.
That's all I got.
We don't have any updates.
I can find out though. I have my connections. I can definitely
you
find
can
out.
call in
I just
next
haven't
Saturday.
asked, and I just assumed one day we were going to go by and there were going to be trees cleared.
Yeah.
Like Hanover, there's a bunch of projects going on right now, subdivisions going in. I go down Center Street and there are like trees being cleared on both sides of the road. I'm like, oh, I guess they started. I guess they're getting going.
They cleared trees in front of, what's that development? Sharon had it when it was first being built, those condos. So if you're going down Center Street, it's on the it's on the left.
Before the
I forget the name of it.
The housing.
It's across the street from Center Commons, almost, kind of.
Yeah, not
Center Commons, the other one.
And
they cleared all the trees in front of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was,
I remember Sharon, Mary, and I were at a conference, I think, somewhere. And I think Mark had called and was like, oh, the town's in an uproar. Like, everyone's upset that they cleared all those trees. But then
town made them
there was nothing.
Town
there was
made
nothing.
Yeah. And so I was there when that happened. So those were condos out front. And then they were supposed to make it like a combination business.
Yeah, wasn't it supposed to be like a mixed use
type thing?
Yeah.
And then they had come in with plans instead of doing like stores. They had come in and they wanted to do a very lovely storage space. So it didn't look like storage. It looked like an antique house, like a colonial antique house to go out front, but it was going to be individual storage units inside. So it wasn't going to be like wasn't going to tax the police. It wasn't going to tax the fire department. It wasn't schools. It wasn't housing. It was just going to be, and the town denied them to do that, but they made them take those trees down out front because their time was elapsing to do the development. So at a certain time, you kind of lose your ability to move forward with a project. It times out. So they were getting close to timing out, and then they pull. People were not happy about that.
We heard about it.
And the people that were living, I felt horrible for the people that were living there because they had that buffer there for so long, and it kind of protected them and kind of put them in this little fairy tale community. And then they took the trees down, which kind of exposed them. And now they're growing back, and it's not, So that was that wasn't a great story.
No, that was not. Sorry, everybody.
That wasn't a great.
That wasn't a great story.
But that's what I mean. That kind of what happens in the world of municipality, like planning and zoning. Your time starts to run out, and then the developer decided not to move forward with the project, and the trees had already come down. It's like,
there's just so many moving parts.
There really is, and I don't think I realized till I started working with zoning and planning over in Hanover. That calendar on the wall, I always thought like they have these calendars, handwritten calendars on the wall. Those are your Bible. Like you have to if you're going for zoning, it has to be advertised in the paper for 2 weeks prior to your hearing. And then there's a bye week in between.
Wow.
So if you're going in the newspaper, so everything has to go in the newspaper on a Wednesday. So it goes in the paper this Wednesday, the following Wednesday. There has to be a week in between, and then the following Monday is your hearing. So there is a time limit on everything. It has to be stamped in at the town clerk's office. And then you have a time period from then to get it on the agenda. So it's constant moving parts, and you've got to get it in the paper. You have to notify the abutters. So you're constantly getting abutter lists from the zoning office. Postcards go out to everybody. The decision is rendered. Postcards go back out to everybody that says a decision has been rendered. If you want to read it, it's at the town clerk's office. So, there's a lot to it. And
we've gotten letters from the town of people who wanted. So we're on Mattakesett Street in Pembroke, and we and by we I mean Boston Connect Real Estate. We're on Mattakesett Street, and if somebody around us wants to do something like that, we get a letter.
Yep.
And saying like, oh, there's going to be a meeting and you can attend and all this stuff. I remember when they were somebody wanted to build a garage or something.
The boat
like
place next door.
Yeah.
It's a 300-foot radius. So anybody within your 300-foot radius, the assessor's office determines who gets a letter, and they give you an abutters list, and then you have to print out labels and put them on postcards and send them out to everybody. And then the decision postcards go out the day the decision is filed at the town clerk's office, and then there's a 20-day appeal period. After you write the decision, there's a 20-day appeal period. Yes.
Oh,
somebody can come in.
Nervous.
I know. You sit there like, oh God, is anybody get? Very rare. I'm sure
what
there
would
are
be the reason why somebody would.
If they don't like the decision, like let's say somebody showed up at your hearing and they still let you do what you wanted to do. If that person really has a reason, they can come back and appeal it Doesn't mean you're not going to get it, but it's going to stop the clock.
So I would think like maybe additional traffic to the area, or maybe additional noise,
parking.
Yeah.
You know, people, they don't want extra parking. Like if you're putting on an addition and you're going to have somebody living there, where are they going to park? Are they going to park on the street? Nope, they're not allowed to park on the street.
Yeah.
You cannot add an additional driveway for an ADU or an addition. You can extend an existing driveway, but you can't add.
Oh, interesting.
You'd have to go get permission from the DPW if you wanted to add additional driveway to your, you can't just go ahead.
Lord, this whole conversation, I'm like, there's a lot.
Is a lot to it.
So is this why people sometimes ask for forgiveness instead of permission?
Yes. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So not everybody gets permits. So what happens when the town finds out that you've done this extensive work?
You'd have to have.
Are there repercussions?
There is no building police that come to the door that says. Now, not to say I've had plenty of. I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Jim would do it. He would be the building police. He'd be like, you know what? I think that would be great.
I think those people put on an addition. We didn't know about it, so we're going to go in and knock on the door. Knock, knock. I used to say that about in-laws, because you were supposed to be a blood relative that lived in an in-law. They have waived that now.
They do DNA testing.
That's what I said. I'm like, there's no blood person coming to the door that's like, not.
You have the mobile mobile that we used to have come here, like the children's hospital blood mobile coming by. Oh, well, you have to do your DNA testing.
Exactly. You have your 80-year-old grandmother that comes out that's like, okay, take my blood. I'm a blood relative that I'm living here. So there is no blood relative test that gets done. Yeah. But what I say to people a lot too, what I would say is like, if you're going to have somebody living in your in-law space, which no, it's fine, or an ADU, and you don't fly below the radar, don't make loud, don't have somebody who's going to be whooping it up and having parties at the house in their little, in-law setup.
Yeah.
Maybe not a backup beeper at 5 o'clock in the morning, like somebody that drives a construction truck that pulls out at 5 o'clock in the morning. Make sure that if you do have a construction truck, you back it in at night and then you pull out in the morning so you don't get the backup beeping noise. Yeah. So don't antagonize your neighbors is basically it. Don't be parking out on the street. So things like that. Just, What about fruit trees in the rear backyard?
Jeremy, what about fruit trees in the rear backyard?
Yeah, you can have fruit trees. Yeah, you can have fruit trees.
I don't know. Oh, maybe like if they're hanging and the fruit is hanging into your neighbor's yard.
Hanging branches on your yard, you can take them down. Yep, you can.
Oh, actually, so if
the tree is in somebody else's yard and the branches are hanging over your fence, you can take those branches
down. Because it's
your
airspace?
Correct. It's your airspace. It's your space. It's over the hay. Would I do it without asking? No. You'd go over and say, hey, this branch is hanging really close to my gutter. Yeah. It could, if it in a windstorm, it can rip my gutter off. I highly doubt your neighbor's going to be like, and I'll be standing out there watching it when it takes your gutter down because you're not touching my tree. No, that's not going to happen.
Well, also we've heard a million times too, is like when somebody decides that they want to take a couple trees down, they'll go to the neighbor and say, hey, just so you know, I'm having a couple trees down. And a lot of the times the neighbor's like, well, while you're doing that, do you mind taking one of my trees down?
Absolutely. I'll pay to have
this tree taken down. Absolutely. If someone's already here. If any of my neighbors want their trees down, just give me a call because there's a couple that I'd like to take.
Yeah, if you're bringing somebody in, I'm happy to
somebody in. I'll piggyback off of that. But
we had neighbors move in and they took every tree down in the backyard, every single. I mean, and there were a lot of 30 trees. 30 trees.
Why?
They have two little children and they wanted a nice backyard for the kids and. Yeah, there were some big
What happened to
trees.
the privacy?
There's none.
Now you just see everything.
Now you're just exposed to the back. And I'm like, wow, that is a big difference.
Wow.
Yeah, we were kind of all hoping that we were going to get extra sun on our pools, that would go a little further, but it didn't really help that much.
Is your pool mostly in the shade?
No, it's in the sun, mostly during the day. The shade comes about 3:30, 4 o'clock. So that's perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets nice.
By then you want to get out.
Yeah. By then I've been in there and I'm pruned. So I need to get out and go sit on the deck for a little while.
We only have a couple minutes left. So why don't we wrap up our topic of, what are some takeaways that you want people to know for sure about, pulling permits or not pulling permits? What could happen?
Permits are kind of like a date and a time stamp. So when you pull permits, people that are going to purchase your home in the world of real estate, it is a super helpful because it's just like a little book that keeps track for you. I redid my roof in 2015, and here's the contractor I used. I replaced my panel in the basement in 2019. Here's my contractor that did the work.
Yeah.
It's just so much easier, and buyers love to see that written down, like all the updates and when they were done, just so they know what their expectations are with moving forward. So pulling a permit, it just makes life so much easier, and it keeps track for you so you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend to do it, especially if you're thinking about selling your home. Go back, make sure you have closed out your permits. A lot of buyer agents will call the town hall to make sure that permits are closed out. So that's an important one.
Can you close on a house if you have open permits?
You can, but you
don't recommend it.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't check, like if nobody checks,
yeah,
then you have open permits, you don't even know.
Who's responsible for checking? Will an attorney do that?
Attorney will not do that.
Okay.
Nope. You or your buyer agent.
That's why you say buyers and buyers agents to do due diligence.
There you go. There you go. Due diligence. Go check it out.
You're doing an open house this
I'm
weekend?
doing an open house today, 11 to 1, down at 192 Furnace Lane on the pond, directly on the pond. This home has been touched from top to bottom. It has been completely renovated. It is spectacular, right on the pond. It has a dock. Every level has been redone. Magnificent windows that overlook the pond. The deck wraps all the way around. He's touched every surface. It's the most beautiful home. So come check it out today from 11 to 1, 192 Furnace Lane.
In Pembroke.
In Pembroke, yes. On the pond. I don't know what's wrong with me. In Pembroke. On the pond, on Furnace Pond. It is spectacular. 4th of July. Can't go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you just...
Can you see the fireworks?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking to the neighbors yesterday, and she was like, it is just spectacular on the 4th of July.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So if you're looking for a house on the pond.
If you're looking for a waterfront property, this is the one. It needs nothing. Turnkey, beautiful, new kitchen, new bath, every surface has been touched. Heating system, whole house generator, AC, everything.
Well, how can people get in touch with you?
617-620-8484. You can reach Jim at 617-842-4019 or Tracy at BostonConnect.com or Jim at BostonConnect.com.
You can go to BostonConnect.com to find all of their contact information or anybody's contact information here at Boston Connect Real Estate. I will be back live next Saturday with Kristen Howlett, full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate for our monthly segment of where we're at.
Where we go.
Where we going. We're highlighting a community south of Boston here on the South Shore. So stay tuned for that. I'll be back next Saturday with Kristen.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your week.
Thanks, Tim.
It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. The neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine?